Here's the point of all this. You get in Port Swiggers, the Web Security Academy, and create an account and log in. And I'm now in the dashboard. I'm in the browser that comes with Burp. So you can do all these labs. They're not in any logical order, unfortunately. Like the ones at the top are not the easiest ones to start from or anything. And some students showed me someplace they have a recommended learning path, but I couldn't find it again. But anyway, that's why I recommended places to get started. And the easiest place to get started is directory traversal. These are, by the way, not in alphabetical order or anything useful like that. But you can't beat the price. So let's take a look at the directory traversal lab. And I'm going to open it in a new tab so it's easier to get back here. So when you open this lab, here it tells you got a file path traversal, and you're going to be able to retrieve the contents of the /etc/password file, which is a file that you're not supposed to be able to see in the web browser. And I'm going to open the lab again in a new tab, and this is going to spin up my own container with my own machine to attack, so separate from everybody else's, which is why it takes a minute or so to launch. And there are complete instructions right here for the solution, which I highly recommend. Students say they want to try it, and I say, don't bother, you're learning, use the instructions. And the instructions are fairly short, but they're good enough. And there might be more in these community solutions. I've never used them. But the point here is you capture a request that fetches an image, and then you change the file name to this .. etc. password, which is the typical directory traversal. And the point here, the vulnerability that's happening here is insecure direct object access, where they don't have permissions blocking the web server from reaching these folders. So if you go here, it loads some kind of page, and I want to get a copy of a request that loaded an image. So I'm going to go to Burp on the proxy tab on the HTTP history subtab, where it shows all the requests and replies. And I'm just going to clear off all the old stuff. So clear history. And yes. And now I'm going to load an image with right-click, open image in new tab, just so I get the simplest request to load an image. Okay, and now I'm not seeing anything here because by default it hides image requests, because normally you don't care about them. So you have to click up here and tell it to show me the image requests. And now I see the image request. So this sends a request to the server, and you see the file name right there in the parameter. Now I want to repeat this request, so you right-click and send this to the repeater. This is extremely useful. Now the repeater lets you repeat a request. So the first thing I do is just repeat it the way it is with send. And if I send it, I get a response of 200 OK. Now this, by the way, already tells me that this is a poorly secured website, because you ought to be using cross-site request forgery tokens to prevent this. You shouldn't let somebody replay an exact request. But this one is letting me do it. And since it is, I can just modify the request by just changing this text. So I'm going to put in what they said, which is just .. etc. password, and then send that one. And now it fetches this internal Linux control file that I'm not supposed to be able to see. And that's all there is to do this one. And if I go back to my browser, it will now tell me I've solved that lab. So there's a whole series of them, and some of them are much more complicated, of course. But really all you're doing is you're learning how to use this tool. And that means you're learning how websites really work, how every request works, how the formatting of the data to go to all these different servers happen and such. So that's what I wanted to show you so you can get started on that.